Very good morning to everybody. And thanks, Doctor. I want to thank you for the very uplifting opening ceremony and thank Asif for the very, thank you, for that introduction. So, by way of another introduction of myself, my name is Patalina. And basically, I'm currently working with Amadeus, heading up the people and culture team for Singapore and Greater China, as well as the Asia Pacific business partner for one of the main business units in Amadeus. Yeah. So really also very honored and very pleased to be here today, essentially to share with all of you on this topic that you can see on the screen. It's called Democratizing the Talent Experience in Amadeus Asia Pacific. It's a huge word. When my comms team presented the slides to me, I was like, democratizing, it's like a huge word to kind of pronounce. But essentially what we want to communicate and what we try to put forward, it's how we actually send out a message of a mantra of how we do people strategy within Amadeus, how we actually look after our employees, the experiences that we want to create with our employees, because all of this at the end of the day drives how we want to actually develop our people policies and our people activities. Yeah? So before I go into the details and share on a few deck of slides on how we do this, maybe a little bit on who Amadeus is and what do we do as a company. So Amadeus as a company is a leading technology company. We are dedicated to the global travel industry. So we serve our customers who are like your travel agents, your airports, your airlines, your hotels. So essentially the entire travel industry from the air travel to the hospitality business. Our solutions which we sell enriches travel for billions of people every year. So all of you who have taken a flight to Singapore in the last few days, Amadeus solutions would have touched you in one way or another, whether you know it or not, because we are the background technology provider. Yeah. We are also one of the world's top 10 software companies, as according to Forbes, and we are in the 10th consecutive year included in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, recognized as the world leader in the software and services industry in 2022. Some facts and figures as well. We are amongst the Amadeus and Navitas solutions, we have actually boarded 690 million passengers at least in the year 2020, and that's when the pandemic is. And we have actually processed annually on an average of about 650 million travel bookings on our distribution system. So that's the volume that we actually would manage as part of our business. We are Spanish, headquartered in Madrid, present in more than 190 countries, and with more than 18,000 employees worldwide. So essentially what we do, we work together with our partners and our customers and other players in the industry to improve business performance, but more importantly, to power better journeys through travel technology. So a travel tech company essentially working in the travel and hospitality space. So with that, I go a bit into our culture and what do we actually talk about as part of the culture of Amadeus, and to a lot of extent, we need to then talk about our Amadeus way. Questions that we ask our employees to ask themselves every day, especially when they have a situation at work that they need to resolve, or a question that they have that they need answered. So the 6 questions, and this appears as part of our screensaver, every time you have to log into your screen. So the 6 questions, first one goes, what would I say if I were our customer? If I am a customer of Amadeus, what would my feedback, what would my review, what would I say about the company? How do I show ownership of my decisions? What's the risk? Is it too big? Is it too small? Can we do this faster, better, and more importantly, simpler? We don't want more complicated. How can I learn and share with colleagues and others? And lastly, is this good for Amadeus? Questions 6 very simple questions that appear on our screen every day. Questions are interdependent as well. So for example, if you are faced with a situation where you need to analyze risk, is it too big? Is it too small? When you decide what is your next course of action, you might want to also think about, is this something that is good for Amadeus? So questions that we put there, underlying questions that we put there, that employees can ask themselves when they are faced with questions, also to empower them to make decisions, to own decisions, and therefore to own answers. And this is what we want and we try to build within the culture of Amadeus. So when we talk about employer branding, naturally we talk about employer value proposition. And as most companies have, we do have the global employer value proposition on the Amadeus global website. And on that page, on the brand center page, if you today go and look into it, we have these sentences that we claim ourselves to be. We are global, we hire the best talent, we invest in people, we invest in innovation, we build the future, and we are a responsible employer. Claims that we put there on the website for everybody to read. But how is this responsible? How does this intake by employees of Amadeus? What does it mean to me as an employee of Amadeus? What does it mean to somebody that we try to bring in from the external market? So essentially we translate this, and what we are trying to say is, we are a global company because of you. We hire the best talent, which is you. We invest in innovation for you, so that the company can grow and you can grow with the company, and we invite you to also participate on this journey of innovation. And therefore, we build the future along with you, and we remain a responsible employer with you. Responsible here means, as an employer, I take care of you as an employee, and I trust that you will then take care of customers. Responsible here also means we make responsible choices when it comes to business operations, especially in areas where we talk about sustainability, we talk about corporate social responsibility. So translating what is on the screen as employer value proposition into something which employees could possibly relate to, or external hires could possibly relate to, that is something that we try to do when we communicate what is really a value proposition. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about the age of instant. The logos on the screen, I'm sure most of you would have recognized most of it, or at least some of it. Logos that we use, apps that we use on a daily basis. I think all of you, and I dare to put it out there, would agree with me that in today's world, we want to be able to take actions and make decisions instantaneously. If I'm hungry, I want to be able to order my food right now. If I want to go somewhere, I want to be able to book a taxi right now. If I want to go for a holiday destination, I want to book a flight, maybe not right now, but maybe in the next 2 days. Not 1 week later, not a few hours later for my food. So this instantaneous action and this instantaneous decision, all of us today have an expectation in our daily life. And for us to make that instantaneous decision or choice, we realize we need information available to us quite instantaneously as well. Very relevant, very concise, in a way that we can understand it, we can process it, and we can make decisions immediately. So if all of you agree that this is the way we are working and this is our way of life today, the question is, how do we then align our workplace and therefore employee experiences to mirror this life that we are used to? How do we make that instantaneity, if that's such a word, as part of the workplace experience and part of employee experience as well? And this is where we then introduce this word called democratize, which if you look into the dictionary, it simply means introduce a democratic system or applying democratic principles to something. Or in other words, how do we empower employees? To do that, we realize employee needs the power of information. With information, the power and the flexibility to have the power to choose. So then we bring the instantaneous ability to make decisions to the employee, and we can empower them to then do that. In Amadeus, we democratize this in 4 different ways and 4 different pillars that we try to follow. Firstly, it's about access to information, giving employees access to as much information as they can. With the information, they then have the power of choice. But it doesn't just end there. After you have chosen and after you have made a choice, what do we want you to do? We want you to be involved and we want you to be included in what needs to be done. And once that is happening, we want you to take ownership of making the thing happen. So that's where we call talent citizenship in a nutshell. So it's access to information to give you the power of choice, to being involved and participate in that choice that you make, and then have the empowerment to bring about that change or the action that you want to take. As a company, what we need to do, we listen so that we can provide you with the information. We empower you to choose and to act, and at the end of the day, we reward and we recognize the action that you have taken. So bringing that across to employees and doing that again and again with different activities and different involvement, we send a particular message and therefore a particular branding message to the employees within Amadeus. So in the next few slides, very quickly, is just to share what we have done pertaining to the 4 different pillars. So like most organizations, we have many internal platforms where we share information. So this first one on the screen is called a Neo Insider. It's like a newsletter. And what you see here, it's very current and very latest, where we inform all employees of our partnership with this company called Choose as part of our sustainability effort. We have created a platform called One APAC because we had feedback from the last engagement surveys that we need to foster closer collaboration between different countries in APAC, different business units in APAC. So we formed a forum that's called One APAC, whereby we update employees on the region, what's happening on teams. We invite different leaders to come in to speak, not only on professional topics, but also share things which are personal to them. And lastly, of course, there is a SharePoint, a depository. Employees can go there to find documents, policies, links to different engagement platforms that they can participate in as well within Amadeus. So it's really a platform and a place that they go to if they need information whenever they need and whenever they want. So access to information. And last and not least, the different collaboration tools that they have access to. So the very formal ones like your SharePoint, your Teams, and then we have Yammer, which is a more informal one. They can post stories, you can like it, you can comment, and that creates more the informal social bonding that we have within the organization. So the next one then goes to the power of choice. And with the power of choice is really to give employee the flexibility and the freedom to choose with the information provided. And Amadeus is one of the first few tech companies, or the travel tech companies, to actually pull out a program that says, go hybrid or go home. So this comes from the pandemic. I'm sure all of you would have experienced it, hybrid working, remote working, and so on. But we have officially communicated to employees worldwide that you have the option of this too. First, go hybrid. You have a choice to decide which of the days you want to be in office, which of the days you want to be at home, depending on your work-life commitments, when do you want to collaborate with your teams here, your teams remote, etc. So the choice of working remotely on certain days in the week. Go home is a workation policy that we actually communicated globally as well, giving employees up to 6 weeks per year that they can choose to work in another country of their choice. So go home doesn't mean you quit your job and go home, yeah? It essentially means it gives you the option to work somewhere else other than home, yeah? So when the Go Hybrid and Go Home was first launched, employees were a little like skeptical. It's like, oh, if I'm not hybrid, I have to leave the company. No, so Go Home essentially means you can work in another country other than home. And this is also widely communicated to all employees. So this not only gives choice, it also sends an underlying message of trust. The reason that we want to go out and communicate this globally to all employees, it shows that we trust our employees that despite this flexibility, we trust that you can deliver what you deliver in a very, very good way. So messages like this are also what we try to craft and what we try to put forward so as to actually bring higher employee engagement in the organization. Then I go to involvement and inclusion, and also writing a little bit on the power of choice. Employees today also have a choice of how they want to learn. So we give them that power to learn, whether you want to do it internally. We have what we call Learning Nuggets, Learning Wednesdays. These are driven by functional experts internally. We have licenses on LinkedIn Plural Site. You choose what you want to learn, when you want to learn. There's vast topics on this too. We don't really specify and restrict you to any of the topics on these platforms. We also include people when we organize like the Tech Summit. So we include them in organizing of events which are more organization countrywide, company-wide. So involving them and including them in activities and events as well. We are big on diversity and inclusion. So we have tons of networks that employees could actually participate in and get themselves in. So I've only stated 3 here. One is Amadeus Proud that we have in different countries. Amadeus Proud essentially supports the Pride Network. So we celebrate Pride Day as well as different activities in the countries. On gender diversity, we have the Women's Network. We support women career development, women well-being. We promote women leaders. And lastly, Belong and Amadeus, basically it's an equal employment opportunity platform. We talk about employees with disabilities and so on. So we want to create that sense of belonging regardless of which diversity group you belong to. And of course, lastly, it's pulse and engagement surveys that most of you might have also have in your organization. And this, with the feedback, we take different actions, for example, the One Impact initiative that we have. Last but not least, and in the 4th pillar, that goes into talent citizenship. And very quickly, it's about employees taking ownership of choices and what they want to actually do. And importantly, we rolled out this FORCE 1, which has 5 pillars. So one cause, you can take on activities which are cause related. So for example, this green is the new blue, more environmental slant. We also have volunteering and CSR, so visiting homes, bringing programs, bringing lives to communities like this. We have one celebration. You can be part of teams and organized events. We want to have fun in the organization as well. So you could actually take up a project on one celebration. One communication looks at how we communicate 2 ways. So there could be focus groups that you organize or lead to promote one communication. One collaboration is on tools. And lastly, one culture is on how we bring across diversity and inclusion within the organization. So FORCE 1 with 5 different themes, employees can choose which of these themes I feel that something needs to be done. I form a team, I market it to the management, and then I bring that forward in order to make that change happen. So it's again a lot of empowerment, a lot of freedom to actually act and to take ownership. So last but not least, the employer branding channels that we try to bring employer brand into the organization. We have what we call the measurable activities that we do and the immeasurable ones as well. So basically what we try to do is with the measurable activities, we want to instill a sense of pride in our employees. So participation in like thought leadership events, having our employees speak at different forums, having them write papers to showcase their technical competence. We are, after all, an engineering technical company. Giving them the opportunity to showcase their technical excellence, what they are good at. All these will help to create pride in our employees. And with pride, what we want them to do, they will then go onto their social media and they will actually reach out to the target audiences out there. What we find extremely impactful, it's the immeasurable ones. So employees' own testimonial. We want to create brand influencers. So we create brand influencers, advocates within the company. We are big on corporate social responsibilities. And wherever possible, we include employees' families when we celebrate certain events within the organization. So some examples of how we do this. So this is where you are. So we won like the top employer award last year, and we get our employees to take pictures with their family members and post it on their LinkedIn Facebook page, essentially celebrating that milestone with families. We have employees who just joined us and write pretty positive responses on their LinkedIn page, on their experiences, their first day in our office. We have testimonials like this in terms of how their career is developing, how they fail, they're allowed to experiment and fail. So testimonials like this that we created as well, that actually helps to create the employer brand within the company. So all in all, what makes us a strong employer brand? I guess these are the accolades that we have gotten over the last 1 year or so. So we put up the more recent ones. So the top employee has got two things. So one, it's more the HR focus. If you see like the top employer award, top organization with best practices and so on. But also recognition in terms of where our technology is. So like travel technology with cloud, most trusted brand, etc. So continuously trying to democratize talent experience, bringing that very much closer to our employees, allowing them to decide and allowing them that flexibility to choose, and then empowering them to act, and thereafter recognize and reward what they are doing. I guess more and more we're trying to do this, and more we find that employees really appreciate the efforts. So with that, I thank you all for your attention, and hopefully this helps to kind of share some of the best practices with all of you. Thank you.